Could you share with us why it is considered a risk? What is the difference between Parliament repealing 377A and it being struck down by the courts?
The Court of Appeal expressed in an implicit way, perhaps in some parts rather explicit, that 377A is unlikely to survive another constitutional challenge because it infringes Article 12, which is a provision that provides for equality before the law and equal protection of the law. If Parliament were to repeal 377A, it would ensure that the impact of that repeal can be managed and it is clear what the consequence would be. Whereas if the court, were to strike down 377A, certainly the courts would be mindful that many of our public policies are built on the basis of marriage being between a man and a woman. But unlike Parliament, they may not be able to see or be able to appreciate some of the deeper ramifications of public policy.
What is less well known is the just as real and the increasing workplace, social, and online discrimination against those who express any alternative perspective to that of the LGBT ideology. I also know of those who have been viciously attacked on social media when they express a different opinion to that of celebrating the gay lifestyle.
I would like to call out and point out that Tao Chen actually used two terms which are actually offensive to the LGBT community. He used the term LGBT ideology and he used the term gay lifestyle. So by the continued use of terminology like that, I think that actually continues this institutionalization of discrimination.
Technically speaking, what you said, Alex, is absolutely correct. These terms could be politically incorrect. We also have to cut people some slack. If we are quick to pounce, you're not going to give that person a chance to change.
I can understand what Alex is saying. I mean, I get it, because he was at the pioneer, right, of championing for gay rights when, the society and the background was totally different from what it is today. So I of course, I understand. I'd be grateful for anything that I can learn in terms of what better way to phrase things that I am trying to phrase using a form of words to explain the things I'm trying to explain.
For myself, I've met so many people who have experienced LGBTQ, for example, same-sex attractions, but they do not actually want to enter the activism or the lifestyle choices. So that's why I think there is that differentiation, because even the people in that LGBT community are not homogeneous.
There is a concern around marriage in relation to children in particular. And their interest is in protecting children. The one step to children is marriage. So there is a lot of effort to safeguard the interests of children as one aspect of this, right?
You mentioned exactly those words, protecting children, but you don't say protecting children from what? Because that is the unstated kind of dog whistle. By using terms like that, one presupposes that the LGBT lifestyle is somehow predatory or morally indefensible, and therefore children must not be exposed to that.
I wasn't coming from insinuating, predatory behavior and that sort of stuff. I suppose for some of us, we would anecdotally understand, the trauma that, let's say, children of divorced parents go through, and as a result, there may be consequences to their upbringing and how they cope with life later on and so on. So, we don't dispute that in the case of opposite-sex parents. Well, if that's the case for the opposite-sex parents, why would that change just because same-sex parents are now parents of the child?
I'm one with a firm belief that children have a natural right to a father and mother endowed by nature. This discussion does indeed lead to the further downstream changes that would talk about the rights of children to have a father and a mother.
I think when we talk about family, I think a lot of this discussion is centered around the centrality, the importance, the salience of family, both within secular and religious perspectives as well. Ultimately, what's at the core of functional, healthy family relationships supportive family relationships is about care through kinship, whatever this kinship looks like.
Instead of looking at the form and obsessing over the form, that we really need to take a step back. As someone who's working on the ground, even the most traditional of family units are so broken, right? And children are struggling and all of that. So I think, on the ground, I'm seeing that the form really doesn't ensure, safety of the children, nor having a thriving family. So we really should take a step back and ask ourselves as a society, right, what provides for a family that will give stability and safety and therefore allow everyone in the family to thrive, especially the children. If we continue to come from the vantage of the ends of this spectrum, then we continue to struggle with where do we go? How do we move this conversation and this needle? If we want to actually come together, then it's not just tolerance that we should be looking at, but actually understanding and accepting, right? There are differences between us.
When we are conceptualizing our own understanding of others, it is crucial to understand that at the end of the day, the same traumas, the same pain, if not so, is very much present and manifest within the other community. And as such, it is crucial for us to approach this sensitive issue from a very empathetic point in first creating friendships and rapport and opening up the platforms for having such raw conversations and understanding the true need of trauma.
To ensure that there is diversity, you have to feel discomfort. To have an open conversation, you have to be put in a place of discomfort. As long as behind those open conversation, there is no threat, there is no aggression.
And, but the fact that we could even have this conversation today, I never imagined in my lifetime we could have it. I'm so glad we are having this, and in a very, mature manner. This augurs very well for Singapore.
If law is too prescriptive, law becomes divisive. For law to be inclusive and supportive, law must support what exists substantially.
So I'm very grateful for the good intentions that were infused in tonight. And I look forward to many more such good intentions in dialogues of the future.
Can we have principled disagreements while being in community? And by community, I mean one that is constituted of and denominated by diversity as well as staunch beliefs. How do we love our neighbor, who does not share the same values as us?